What is up, Fire Tribe? We are so excited for today's episode. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be a real special interview. It is with Sheriff Chris Swanson, and that's coming up
right now.
Are you a Christian and you are looking to take your faith, your family, and your future to the next level?
Then this is the channel for you.
Welcome, Season 2, Episode number 9. We want to make sure that you hit that share button right now. Make sure, but this is going to be a very impactful, awesome interview today. You're going to want to make sure that you hit the share button right now. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and I'm here with the always gorgeous and wonderful and even smarter than me, Christy.
Hello.
So I want to kick this off real quick before we bring him on. I want to show everybody, if you haven't had an opportunity yet to witness this, and if you haven't yet, shame on you.
Shame on you.
But if you haven't yet, here is your opportunity.
We want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. Come on. That's it. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! 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 Walk with us!
Let's walk with us! Let's walk with us!
So we want to represent today our special guest by wearing shirts, #Let's Walk. So let's bring him on without further ado. Mr. Sheriff Chris Swanson. Welcome to the show, baby.
Great shirts. That video always rocks me.
Me
I'm
too.
like, who is that guy? What a great moment.
Hey, you know, we're so proud, and it's really funny because you would never say that you'd be proud to be from Genesee County, Michigan, and it's a crazy thing, but we're just so proud in the moment. And, and we're strong believers in Christ. So we know that God is at the root of all of this, but, it's to our obedience that really makes the difference. So, we want to welcome you to the show today. Our interviewers are people that are on today right now for this interview are really excited to get on and chat and just hear what you have to say. So welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. And I can't wait to get into the meat of what we're going to talk about. So have at it. I'm all yours.
All right, let's roll. All right. So the first thing we want to ask you is, how do you keep your faith strong in such a heavy political career?
Great question. A lot of it is, through spiritual maturity. I was raised Lutheran, and around about 18, 19 years old, I started transitioning into probably more full gospel than anything. And then I met a hot blonde when I was 20 who was raised in a Baptist church out in Lapeer. And I met her at jail, so you can meet great women at jail. She was a social worker. And we started dating, and I had already started going to different churches, and I was introduced to, since we're talking to some local people here, to South Baptist Church. So she came from up here. We started going there, and I remember seeing my first adult baptism. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I saw the testimony, and I'm thinking, I don't have that. So I didn't have like a moment of like rattled salvation, but it was like almost a transitional salvation. And just started growing in the church, and years went on, and we got married, 26 and a half years ago. And so throughout that whole journey, and through a lot of things, the Lord just took a hold of me. And, it's just like, when Samuel anointed David, he was not prepared to be king, but his journey took him to that spot. And Joseph, the same thing. So I look at those biblical icons in life, Esther and all those people, and those moments that they are what I would call highlighted in the word, it's because of years of buildup and training and going through the grinder of life. So it's all those moments. I can't say there's one thing, but I stay positive because I look through my whole journey, and the Lord continues to put me in spots to say, I'm going to use you here. I'm going to use you here. Yeah. And so I always want to be ready. And my personality is always high strung, 150 miles an hour. And so that's how I stay positive, because I know these are moments where I'm going to be used, and that's my juice.
It's really funny that you say some of this stuff, because I know, you are a 4-time Ironman finisher. It's a big part of who you are. And
Tin Man to Iron Man, baby.
that's right.
What?
So
My gosh, you guys are amazing.
so a big part of that though is we understand that our body is really tied into a lot of our mind, and our mind is tied to a lot together with our spiritual being. So you're a busy man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. First off, we want to really thank you for being with us tonight. We know that your schedule's full, but tell us a little bit about that journey. What got you started on an Ironman journey?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great story in and of itself. So long story short, my family, God bless them, are not from an athletic background. And I was the youngest of four. I played summer ball for 7 years before I moved to Grand Blanc, where it was a big school district. And short story is, you said Tin Man to Iron Man, it's in the book. I got cut from 9th grade baseball. Yeah. And coming from another school district, it was very, very hard. It was devastating, truth be known. And so I didn't compete for 14 years. I never went to a high school football game, baseball game, never tried out again, never did anything. Wow. I was a late bloomer. And then in 2000, I had already gone through the police academy. I was an officer for 6 years. And I just made a decision in that January that I'm going to be a bodybuilder, because I've always followed with Arnold and Lou Ferrigno and all those guys. And so I did my first show in that November. I did 3 other shows on top of that, started doing some mini triathlons, some sprints, some Olympics. And then I got into marathon running when a buddy of mine said, hey, do you know how many people in the world can run a marathon? I'm like, no, he says 1% of the population. I'm like, all right, I want to be that. So my first marathon. And then in 2005, a buddy of mine, Al Jansen, he's a doctor, ER physician at Genesis Hospital. Mm-hmm. I was working the road and he's like, dude, he says, I got to show you something. And his office at the time was at Center and Davison. And I went over there and he took me to that room and he showed me his bib. He showed me his medal. And he goes, listen, you've got to run an Ironman. And I said, Al, I'm 215. I'm a bodybuilder. I said, can I do this? He goes, dude, I'm telling you, I can give any drug on the planet. If you do an Ironman and you cross the finish line and they say, Chris Swanson, you're an Ironman, there's no drug like that. So I let it sit in my head for a minute. And a year later, I signed up for the 07 Ironman in Florida, Panama City Beach. And it was at right there in the Gulf of Mexico. And 14 hours, 11 minutes after that cannon went off, they said those words, Chris Swanson from Davison, Michigan, you are an Ironman. And it broke a ceiling in my life that now everything is a competition. And that's why I did Ironman 3, 4, and 5, which is next year. So it's something that's in my DNA. And I think everybody should be a competitor. No matter how old you are, no matter where you are, everybody should compete.
Well, that's what I love about you too, because the couple times that I've heard you speak, you talk about physical fitness, you talk about your spirituality, and you are very in tune with personalities. You talked about the sanguine and the caloric and all of those different types of personalities. So I do think that from an outsider looking in, not knowing you like super personally, that God has been pruning you for these times like this to make such an impact in this very trying time with the pandemic and with this election, protests that are going on. And that leads me into what part did your faith play in the way that you and your team handled the protest? Because that truly just looked like the Holy Spirit in that moment.
Well, it goes back to, and I have a routine every day, and that is I wake up, as soon as my eyes open and I recognize that I'm awake, I go right into a thankful prayer. I don't say this because I'm at a Christian show here. That is my everyday. I thank and I pray for wisdom and discernment, I started years ago. In fact, when I became sheriff 1201, January 6th of this year, I was on a back prayer bench at 12:01 in the morning on my knees asking for wisdom, discernment for all people. I want to be the light and the hope and the salt for all people. So there's a lot of preparation. And right out of the gate, we got hit with COVID. Right out of the gate, we got hit with protests. And then we got hit with all these things, right? Yeah. So that moment, it was kind of like what I would describe, and it's not meant to be egocentric, so I give all glory, but it was that moment that the world saw what I had been my whole life. The world saw part of my DNA. And so it was very easy. And of course, nobody even planned they even going to the township police department, let alone doing what happened that day. Right. And we were with them the whole day. And when they turned towards the police department, it was almost like it wasn't supposed to happen. We were just heroes a week ago for COVID. Now they want to burn the department down. Not my department, but, and then you had so many different officers. We were right about to be a statistic. I mean,
Yeah.
everything from the pepper balls to the OC spray.
Yeah.
We were going to go, just like we see. But what you just said right there, Christy, was the key.
Yeah.
And I saw that video that you just put on there. And there was a moment. Now, mind you, when I walked in the crowd, it wasn't like, oh, this is what I do when this happens. There was no algorithm, okay?
Right.
I just knew if I took my helmet off, subconsciously, it sends a message that I'm vulnerable, I'm not intimidated, and I'm going to go into the crowd. So when I
Oh, no.
to the crowd, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I think we a little bit frozen here. Oh, there we go.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
You're back.
All right, good. So long story short is when I walked in and I started talking to the people, and I said to one of the shot callers, I'm like, listen, these cops, they are here for you. They protect you. They'll be with you. That guy is not who we are. And I said, what do you need? And then he says, you need to tell the people. And I said, get their attention. And then that's when all that you saw. But
Yeah.
there is a point in time where I believe everything came in my entire life to one instant moment. And it was when they chanted immediately when I said, what do you need us to do? And they said, walk with us. I take a step back, I breathe, and I believe the Holy Spirit at that moment said, Chris, walk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. And so that moment, there's never a day in my life from that moment that I'll ever question the power of the Spirit, because I didn't just say, hey, I want all Christians to walk with me. I want all straight people to walk with me. I want all white people to walk with me.
Mm-hmm.
In my moment of being obedient, said, let's walk. And that's the gift that I believe the Lord has given me, is I can unite people that maybe don't look, act, and believe, but that hope that is able to be given. That's the magic. And so that answers the question you just asked. And what keeps me positive? It's that. I love people that feel they're hopeless. They have no voice, having hope and a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that it's really funny because you articulated exactly the way that we witnessed it. In that moment, you stood back, you took a breath, and honestly, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I could see how the Holy Spirit was working in you, to be in the position you were in, to take off your helmet, to drop your riot gear and step in the fire. That takes obedience to a level that people don't get to see all the history of what Chris Swanson has done in his faith up until that moment. They didn't get to see all that. But what did get to happen is God got to shine through you in that very moment. And that is something that you just don't get to see it every day.
No, we literally just watched that clip before we came on. And at that exact moment, we both were like, there it is. That was God. Yeah. That was God right there.
Yes.
And it's powerful. It's just a powerful video clip. It's made such an impact on so many lives, on my life, because that was dangerous for you. That was potentially dangerous. And you did it because you were being obedient to God, and the Holy Spirit just came and did what he does in that moment. Yeah. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Next question.
With such a busy lifestyle, how are you able to still be a good husband and father?
And we're assuming you are.
That's awesome. Are you kidding me? I'm amazing. So here's the short story. And I've been married to Jamie. We got 26 years in July 26th. I got two boys, 22 and 19. They both love the Lord. They're on autopilot spiritually. I don't have to remind them, hey, you got young adults, are you doing devotions? I think the answer to that question is I am a very disciplined person, and I do micro decisions that lead to big actions. So I'm always conscious of my entire mental strength, spiritual strength, and physical strength. And so I make deposits in all three of those areas every single day. So if any one of those areas is lacking, then the other two are going to suffer. So I get to do a lot because I make conscious decisions to do that. So here's this is a point that I'm just talking about. So this morning, I knew I had to run before work. So I got up at 5 a.m. It was cold and rainy. I did my 3.1 mile run. I came back. I was at work by the time day started, which was 8 o'clock. I worked all the way through. I missed a lunch, worked till 4 o'clock. Now the sheriff doesn't really have a schedule. I have to work one day a year, but I want to set the tone that I'm there working and grinding all the time. Like now, But I knew because my in-laws were going to Florida and they'd been with us for a month because their house was being renovated, they wanted to have dinner before they left. So what did I do? I come home an hour early. We bust out the dinner. We have dinner. I had to be here by 6:45. I'm here by 6:45, prepping by 7. And at 7:15, 7:20, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to work out. And I'll be back by 8:45 to watch the World Series, to lay down, to do my devotions, to kiss my wife. And so every single day is deliberate.
Yeah.
And I remember the first talk that I did 5 years ago in Moline, Illinois. And it was the first time I ever stepped on stage for 10,000 people. And the talk was called, I Got One Shot. And in that talk, I talked about how the responsibility of all people, including Josh and Christy, you got one shot to do this podcast, season 2, episode 9, to crush it, because there's one person listening right now that needs to hear what you're saying, that needs to believe that couples can be on fire and people can have that talk about, hey, you're going to have some bumps, but this is how you've got one shot to do it. And so if you even came into your podcast where you're at 60% and not 100, I always think, what did you miss? Who was left behind? So I do a lot of block timing. I'm very efficient what I do. I don't linger. I mean, there's times that I take downtime, but when I'm with the sheriff's office, I'm 100% with the sheriff's office. When I'm with you, I'm 100% engaged with you. When I'm at the gym, I'm not thinking about Josh and Christy, all right? I'm thinking about what I'm doing there. So yeah. I have mastered that. It comes down to this discipline, and that's a lot what Ironman. I'm here with Kevin Sprague. You've dealt with him. You know, he's wearing his half marathon shirt or jacket from 2009 in Detroit. And anytime someone competes like that, like Kevin, we've done races together. I always say that competition, it demands discipline. And when you're disciplined, it spills over to every part of your life. So that's how I get to do so much. I live the life of 10 people.
Yeah.
You know, you have purpose, you know, when you live on purpose. And I love that, you know.
I do too.
It's being attentive in the moment to the things that you're doing, you're able to give 100% to that. So that's all. That's incredible.
So you're being, you know, a light for God. I mean, that's how we should be. It's amazing that you're allowing God to use us. And this is the things that happen when you allow God to use you. You can make an impact for him and his kingdom. And that's what people need to see. Ultimately, people that don't know him, they need to see us Christians as Christ followers, you know, and it's really, and that's giving 100% no matter what you're doing at the gym, at work. It doesn't matter. You're doing it all for him. So you don't need to be in a church building to be doing that.
It's true.
That's right. That's right. And he united everybody. And you know, I'm just trying to be the same example. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. You have another question.
So the future that we're talking about here is you just started a brand new podcast. It's called the Black and Blue Podcast. And it's actually, you guys' episode this last week was about Let's Walk. I mean, you know, let's take a walk. So tell us a little bit about that, how that came to fruition, but more importantly, where you see that going.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things happening right now. In fact, we were just talking off screen about all those things that are happening. You know, I love what I do, and it is what I do, but it's not who I am. And I believe that I'm down here as an influencer. I am here as a communicator. My spiritual gift is leadership. And so I use every platform I have possibly been given to give that message. So there's a lot of different Chris Swansons, and Chris Swanson, Sheriff, you saw that on the video. Chris Swanson, influencer, that's where the Black and Blue Podcast comes in, because I can't talk about things in my official role that I can talk about as Chris Swanson, and vice versa. So during this whole thing, this protest, within the first 48 hours of the actual event, it reached 3.2 billion people, 48 hours into it. And it hit 6,000 news stations by Monday morning. Wow. And since then, the team will tell you, we have reached tens of billions of people all over the world, different countries. And one of those was a guy named Ken Nowatke out of San Diego, California. He's the free hugs guy. Yeah. And he saw what happened to the Boston bombing and went there the next year and wrote a free hug shirt, and it just got a great response. And because of his background growing up in California and being a part of, you know, kind of, you know, a upbringing that he understands the division between white, black, police, and the street. So my team reached out to him and said, hey, I think you guys should connect. And I never heard of him, but he's seen the video. So this is a funny story. So about a month and a half after, we're right in the thick of it. I mean, he just kept going and going and going, right? One of my team members from outside the sheriff's office said, hey, I got a guy that I'm flying in, and he's the free hugs guy. And I'm like, who's the free hugs guy? And he just said, you're gonna trust me, you're gonna like him. Well, Ken flies in and he goes and he has a layover in Chicago. He knows he's coming to Flint, Michigan to go meet with a sheriff, but he doesn't put the two together that it's the sheriff that he saw in the video. He's in Chicago. He reads his agenda. He's like, oh my gosh, it's that guy. So no joke. As soon as I saw him for the very first time. I looked at him. There was instant chemistry. It was unbelievable. We do our first interview right down the road here, and that was an hour interview. And after it got done, I said, hey man, you're an athlete. You're a Nike sponsored athlete back in the day. Why don't we go for a run? And I challenged him because he's an athlete. He's a competitor. He's like, all right, let's go. He didn't even have shorts. He didn't have shoes. He went to Walmart and got them. Ended up blowing out the doors on a 3-mile run. It was hotter than heck. We get done. I order pizza, go back to my house, and we spend the rest of the night. My friends are there. My wife's there. My kid's there. We spent till like 1 a.m. Well, that was on like a Thursday. Friday comes by. We keep talking. Saturday, he's supposed to fly out. He knows I'm preaching at a church on Sunday 3 times. I'm doing 3 services on Sunday. One in Goodrich, one in Flint Township, and one back in Goodrich, right? He's like, you preach? I'm like, man, I can lay it down. So he changed. He flies out Sunday night so he could come see me preach, right? So I do this message, and I get there, and there's just a great message. I come down from the steps, and he says, we need to do a podcast. And I said, okay. He goes, and it's called Black and Blue. As soon as he said that, I'm going to tell you, my balance, Jamie, said, you need to do this podcast. And I'm going to tell you, whenever I've done business that Jamie doesn't approve, I always lose dollars. When I do things that Jamie does approve, it always works. So when she said green light, I was like, this is it. And no joke, that podcast has spoken to so many people. Yeah, I'm sure. And just like, the podcast, it's a grind. You know what I mean? I mean, he's flying in from San Diego. I was out in LA last week for a 1-day trip because we're talking about things that people just don't talk about. Right. And like, I can talk about things that he can't because I'm a white police officer, police commander, a sheriff, but he can talk about things that I can't talk about, being a black guy, being on the street, being a professional. But together we can answer questions that everybody wants to know. Yeah. And that's where we are. And the episode you spoke of is, the one that we featured, Guy Meets Girl, that wrote the Let's Walk song, which is unbelievable. And in fact, if you want to see them live, I'm at my watch party November 3rd at Joe and Louie's. I would love to have you too, Josh and Christy, come there as my guest, and you'll see them live. Okay, starts at 7:30. Yeah, you know where
we're in.
Road, November 3rd. You're my special guest. Wear those shirts.
We will wear them. Yes, for sure. For sure. That's a fun story. Because our podcast is the Couple on Fire podcast, and it's real important that we talk about, how we're able to do things. You mentioned your wife, Jamie, about how, you have to make sure that you consult your spouse when it comes to making important decisions, making any decision really, but making the important decisions, and so we really want to share with our viewers, because we talk about taking our faith, our family, and our future to the next level, and you're doing that. So if you had to give our viewers one single piece of advice, what would it be, and why would you give that?
You want me to give you Chris's advice or biblical advice?
I want you to give me Chris's advice.
Like if you were talking to us and you wanted to give us advice as Chris, how to take faith, family, and future to the next level, what would you give us?
Yes.
So I would say this, that what I've already mentioned is that you and I need to be experts at mental fitness, physical fitness, and spiritual fitness together. And all 3 of those need to be competitive. And the way to keep it going every day to be the most influential is to have the mindset of finish or die trying. Yeah. Like everything all at once, no matter what you do, you better get it done, and get it done with the expertise that you have. Get better every day, mind, body, and spirit. And if that doesn't happen, you at least go down as a hero for trying. Yeah. That's why I think everything that I do is Iron Man mentality.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that competitive nature that you have it's infectious. You know, I want to go jogging. You know, like right when we're done, I want to go
Not
jogging.
let's walk, let's run.
Yeah, you know, and it's
There you go.
infectious.
Yeah.
It's infectious,
Yeah.
you know, and I think it's important. I love how you make it so important that we make sure we give ourselves 100%.
Yeah.
But it's so hard in a world that is, you know, it's a Facebook world, and we see what people want to see, you know, online, but they don't get to really know the real story.
People are
And
vulnerable.
and that insecurity really climbs on us. But I love how you say you just got to push it to the limit, no matter what you do. You know, push that pedal to the floor and just trust God in the process. And that's hard to do, but I think once you get going like you've done, it's that forward momentum is just so powerful.
More freeing than being vulnerable. Nothing's more freeing than once you're just vulnerable and you've laid it all out there. Josh and I are both recovering alcoholics, and we both had hard upbringings, and you learn, like we had the same as you, transitional salvation. There wasn't like this moment where we were like, oh, we got saved. We always believed in God, but we really hadn't submitted. And once we submitted and really became Christ followers, and you just lay it all out there, imperfections, everything, it is so freeing. And then God can really use you in those moments. That's when he can use you, is when you're just like, I'm it. I'm here. You know, this is me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this new season that's coming up in your life.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say, to your point, that's why your platform is so vital, that you use your gifts and talents, that you don't let a crack come between your relationship, because people are counting on you to be the example for them. And people that may be, you know, 2 steps behind or 200 steps behind recovering alcoholism or trying to build a relationship. So everybody's got to do their part. You know, I'm not asking anybody like Chris. You be who you are, and use your gifts and talents to just smash it every single day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a great season ahead, man. It's I'm all excited.
We can tell it's infectious.
We're excited. Yeah.
Hey, we want to thank you for being here today, man. You know, it's amazing. You know, you're being obedient to Christ, and what else can we ask for in life? We know that's hard, and it takes true dedication. And so we want to thank you for your service. We want to thank you for, you know, putting your life on the line as many years as you have to help, you know, serve and protect our community and
your team.
And your team, man. So we're proud of you.
You guys are an inspiration, really. You really are.
Yeah.
Well, I want Kevin to hear it. He's right here. He's been away from his family to come here at 7:30 to set this whole.
You.
Yeah, that's Kevin right there. But even all the people that walked with us, everybody in law enforcement, we just appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys for sure. And you know where you're going to be November 3rd, right?
That's right. We're showing up. We'll be there. Don't
That's
forget us.
And
We're wearing
then
the shirts.
I'm still alive. That's right.
All right, Chris, we appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk to you.
Very much. All right, take care.
All right,
Bye.
we'll see ya. That's it, guys. That is our episode. Sheriff Chris Swanson, we want to thank you so much for being here today. What a powerful... Go back and re-listen. There's so many huge golden nuggets of information that was packed inside this episode today.
Golden nugget.
Golden nuggets, right. Some value. Hit the share button. Don't forget to share. Please share this out. Help, connect with other people inside of our community. Help show them that, one person can make a difference.
Yeah.
If you're willing to be obedient and listen to what God's trying to tell us in our lives, you can make a difference in this world. You really can.
Yeah. It's so impactful. That's why one of the reasons we wanted to have Chris on is the impact that he's making for God in the community, just allowing God to use him and the whole police force. It's amazing the things that are happening. I know fantabulous. I guess I should use a different word than amazing, but it is just so powerful. Don't think that God can't use you where you're at, in your family, in whatever job you have. If you're waiting tables, if you're working at a movie theater, you can do everything with excellence and make an impact for God right where you're at in your circle of influence. And you don't know the ripple effect that it's going to have. And you don't know, by you being obedient in that moment, where that's going to lead you 5 years from then, 10 years from then. God may be pruning you, like Chris said earlier, only to use you in the way he really wants to 5 years from now, 10 years from now. He's pruning you. So just be obedient and do everything with excellence.
I think a big part of what we try to do is we try to expect overnight results in things, and that's just not how it works, So it's an amazing thing to know that you can really be obedient to what God has called you into in your life, and it may be 25 years before you really see what really God has for you in this world. But don't quit being obedient. Be strong together, be a couple on fire. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, just like Chris said.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Make sure you're doing that so you can be exactly what God's asking you to be. So we're so proud to have had him on today.
We're so thankful that he agreed to come on. We are extremely grateful and thankful that he agreed to come on our show.
Our little O show.
Our little O show.
Our little O show. So we're excited. We want to thank everybody for being here.
Yeah.
And hey, we're going to see you guys next Tuesday at 7. We expect everyone there that was here today.
That's right.
Better be here. Bye.
Bye.